Hello, my dear children and parents. Welcome to Indus Valley Public School Rat e-learning classes. Class 9th, where we are doing poem 5 from your Beehive book. And the name of the poem is A Legend of the Northland, composed by Phoebe, Cary. In this poem, we have seen two characters, Saint Peter and a greedy woman who had not given a single pie of her cake from her shelf. And on this, Saint Peter got angry and cursed the woman, and she turned to a woodpecker as she was not capable to serve the human life. Okay, so now moving to the summary of the poem. The Northland in an area near the North Pole where days are short because the sun's rays reach for very little time. Here during the winter, the duration of the night is longer and days are shorter. The word they in line 4 refers to the people who live in this region. Also, the poet says that the duration of nights is long and people can't sleep them through. The poet wants to emphasize the fact that the nights are very long. The region experiences severe cold condition as it is a snowy area. Moreover, reindeers are the animals that live in the polar region, which the people use to pull their sleds. Also, the poet says that children look like polar bear cubs as they wear clothes made from the fur of the skin of the bear. Line 1 of the third para, they refers to the elders and them refers to the children. In addition, the elders tell a strange and interesting story about the young ones. However, the poet does not believe that the story is true. Still, it gives an important message. This ballad refers to the time when Saint Peter lives in the world and went around giving spiritual lectures to the people like all saints do. And then one day an incident happened. While giving lectures, one day he reached the door of a cottage where a small woman was making cakes in the fireplace. Saint Peter was very hungry that day, as he hasn't had a meal and was feeling weak. So he approached the woman and asked for one cake out of many baked by her. The woman was selfish and she did not give him a cake from the store. In its place, she makes a very small cake for Saint Peter. She does not want to share her things. However, when she places a cake for baking, she thought that it's too big to give away. The miser woman then again started making a smaller cake. She did this 3 times but didn't give any cake to Saint Peter. She reasoned that when she ate them, they felt small. But when she had to give them, they felt too big to give someone. And finally, she put all the cakes on her kitchen shelf and didn't give any cake to the saint. Saint Peter got angry and cursed her because he was very hungry and felt very weak. Saint Peter to her that you are selfish and did not deserve to live as a human being. He further adds that God has given her food, shelter and fire to keep her warm, but she became selfish and greedy. Hence, the woman became a bird who had to build their houses by boring into the wood and collect very little food by working the entire day. When Saint Peter cursed her, she became a bird and flew through the chimney. When she flew, the bird has a red cap on her head, same as the woman wore. Moreover, when people in the countryside and children see this kind of bird, their elder tells them this story of a bird. Now coming to the literary devices used in the poem, first stanza. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. So poetic device used in the stanza is alliteration, that is repetition of the th in the words that, they, them, through. Repetition, that means any word or sentence is repeated in this stanza. So away, away repeated twice in order to give emphasis. Enjambment, when one sentence is written in 2 lines, then it becomes enjambment. So line numbers 3 and 4. That is enjambment. Rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Coming to the stanza number 2. where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledge when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. So alliteration, they the look like funny furry. Examined in line number 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Simile is there as comparison of children is done with the bear cub. So the children look like bear's cub. Like a use is there, so simile is there. And again the rhyme scheme is same, A, B and C, B. Stanza number 3. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe this true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Alliteration, they the, yet you, learn lesson, tell tale to. Enjambment in line number 3 and 4, and rhyme scheme is A, B and C, B. Now coming to the stanza number 4. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below, and what about it preaching? Just as he did, you know. So enjambment in line number 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Rhyme scheme is there, A, B and C, B. Stanza number 5. He came to the door of a cottage in travelling round the earth, where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. So alliteration, woman was, them the hearth, and rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Stanza number 6. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. Alliteration, faint fasting, and rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. Stanza number 7. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Alliteration, so she, and rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Stanza number 8. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. So again, alliteration is there, still smaller, S, rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Next stanza number 9. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. So alliteration, took tiny. Repetition, any word or sentence is repeated to lay emphasis on it. Rolled, word is repeated. Simile, baked it as wafer. So S is there, that resemble, simile is used. Then the rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Children, alliteration, TH, that H is wrongly printed. It is only T. Okay, pay attention. Only T will be there, not TH. Now coming to the stanza number 10. For she said, my cakes that seems too small, when I ate of them myself, are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. Alliteration, seems small, S sound is there. One more alliteration you can find there. So C, S ka there. Okay. Now enjambment is used in the line number 1, 2 and 3, and the rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Stanza number 11. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. So children, alliteration is there, surely such, S is repeated. Okay, that is not written, just check it out. Okay, then enjambment in line number 1 and 2, and rhyme scheme A, B and C, B is there. Coming to the stanza number 12, and he said, you are far too foolish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter, and fire to keep you warm. Anaphora, line number 2 and 3. Repetition of 2 is there in the starting of the line. So which line anaphora is there? Second and third line. And the rhyme scheme is A, B and C, B. Stanza number 13. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food, by boring and boring and boring all the day in the hard dry wood. Alliteration, build birds by boring, and then repetition. Boring word is repeated there in line number 3, and rhyme scheme is A, B and C, B. Stanza number 14. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaks a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, and she was changed into bird. Alliteration, through the out of the top, and rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. Stanza number 15. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burnt black as a coal in a flame. So simile, comparison, clothes were burnt black as a coal, rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Last stanza of the poem. And every county school boy has seen her in the wood where she lived in a tree till this very day, boring and boring for food. Alliteration, the tree still this for food. Then repetition, boring word is repeated in line number 4 and the rhyme scheme A, B and C, B. Now coming to the question answers of the poem. First question, which country or countries do you think the Northland refers to? The Northland refers to the region around the North Pole which is extremely cold. It could be any country like Russia, Canada, Greenland, Norway, etc. Question number 2. What did Saint Peter ask the old lady for? What was the lady's reaction? Saint Peter asked the lady to give him a cake as he was hungry. The lady did not give him a cake out of the ones that she had baked. Instead, she baked a smaller one for him. Question number 3. How did he punish her? Who is he? Saint Peter and her old greedy lady. So he punished the selfish lady by turning her into a woodpecker bird that had to bore into the dry wood all day to get some food and shelter. How does the woodpecker get her food? The woodpecker gets food by boring holes in the wood. Do you think that the old lady would have been so ungenerous if she had known who Saint Peter really was? What would she have done then? If the old lady knew who Saint Peter was, then she would not have been ungenerous. On the other hand, she would have served him well for the fulfillment of her greedy desires. Is this a true story? Which part of this poem do you feel is the most important? It is not a true story. The point of the story where the woman is turned into the woodpecker bird is the most important. This is so because the punishment teaches everyone the lesson, and the lesson is to be generous. Question number 7. What is legend? Why is this poem called a legend? A legend is a popular story from the past which is believed to be true but cannot be verified. It contains a moral which is narrated to the children to teach them moral values. Question number 8. Write the story of a legend of North in about 10 sentences. So, one day Saint Peter was preaching around the world and reached the door of a cottage where a greedy woman lived. She was making cake and baking them on a hearth. Saint Peter was fainting with hunger. He asked the lady to give him a piece of cake. The cake that she was baking then appeared to be too big, so she did not give him that, and instead she baked another smaller one. That also appeared to be big, so she did not give him that also. The second time she baked yet another smaller cake, but found it too big to give away. In the third attempt, she took an extremely little scrap of dough and rolled it flat. She had it as thin as a wafer, but was unable to part with that also. This angered Saint Peter a lot. He said that she was not fit to live in a human form and enjoy food and warmth. He cursed her and transferred her into a woodpecker bird who had to bore in hard, dry wood to get its scanty food. She can be seen in the trees all day boring and boring for food. So children, here we end with the poem. Go through the poem summary, literary devices and the question answers. I have already explained this poem in your previous video. If any doubt, please do ask me, and complete your work. Forward your work on my WhatsApp so that I can check it out. Till then, bye-bye, take care and thank you so much.